Welcome to Alternating, where we're discovering good movies, one bad movie at a time. I'm your host, Robert Jarasinski. Across from me is my wife, Carrie Jarasinski. We're going to be talking about our top 5 movie bombs, movies that bombed at the box office, but we still love them anyway. I feel like that's the story of my life. You still love me anyway, despite my many misfortunes,
financial losses.
My financial losses. But it's funny, like when we're talking about box office bombs, it's appropriate that I still love them. Well, I mean, you know my reputation for, I'm just going to spend the most money for something because you
Google best. You just
I Google
put best in
I put
front
like,
of everything.
what's the best thing? And I often assign
best toothbrush.
But I assign it by sometimes you are under the impression that I'm simply seeking out things of high cost or high value or high expense. Mm-hmm. And that is my
and that's
merit.
not factual?
It's not factual. I will probably, if not knowing anything else about something, I'll probably put some weight to it, thinking like, well, someone's invested a ton of money in this. It's got to be worth at least a portion, maybe not incrementally that much more, but there's probably some worth to it. So yeah, I'm excited to get into that. Before we get into it, we'll go through our top three worth mentioning. But even before that, a listener pointed out, Rachel Scatia, that it's Alfred Hitchcock Day. I had no idea.
What does that even mean?
I guess it's a day that we celebrated all things.
But
Alfred
is it for
Hitchcock.
anything? Like, is it his birthday?
It might be. I did not do the additional research necessary, but it would be fitting that it would be either his birth or his death that we would be, I guess, not celebrating.
I'll look it up while you're on a tangent.
But do you have any Alfred Hitchcock? Were you a big Alfred Hitchcock watcher or familiar with his work?
I think it was on Nick at Night.
The Alfred Hitchcock show?
Yeah, that's what I
think he had like a little show going on.
He did.
Maybe.
They were really creepy at the time.
Yes.
I'd like to rewatch them to see if they're just as scary as an adult as they were as a kid. But
well, you know, our thing has been looking back at older movies where, for me, they don't stand the test of time and there's something about it. I will say there is an exception with Alfred Hitchcock where his films, I've only seen a few of them. I haven't seen his whole catalog, but things like Rear Window and...
what's the one with the blackbirds?
Birds? Just birds. All birds.
Are there blackbirds in it?
There's also one Marnie, which might feature birds.
I think it's blackbirds.
No, there's no.
Just
birds.
birds.
Just birds. Birds.
I think that's the one I saw.
But he's done, Psycho, and things like that. Rachel had mentioned Rope, which I haven't seen, which I've heard is very good. But that would actually be a fun little thing.
Yeah,
going
I would
through.
Do that. I like those.
Because his black and white, the acting may not be where it was today, that sort of thing, but where it is today. But I feel like Hitchcock as a director was incredible at building tension and was way ahead of his time. So I'd be interested in checking some of his stuff out too. But
I just had a thing. So wouldn't it be really interesting if it was like bluebirds in the movie, but because it was black and white?
It could have been a different color bird. Actually, I think birds is in color. So
let's move on.
These are all things we're going to have to check out. But I'm pretty sure the movie you're thinking of is called Birds.
Okay, checking it out for maybe you can rec that to me for next week.
I'll rec it to you so that you can make sure there's color living in that film. Also, we managed to get the episode out, but not, a little bit late last week. This week we're on schedule, on target. You'll probably note that in the release date. But thanks to your parents for taking the kids, keeping them up at the cottage up north, and so that we could rush back, do a couple errands, knock out a podcast. And then, do that. So very grateful to your parents for that. It's nice having the extra set of hands to be able to do stuff like this. So
It's true.
Well, let's get into our top 3 worth mentioning. What is it? It's where we discuss the movies we've seen in the last 2 weeks that we think are worth talking about. They could be great movies. They could be terrible. But we share them worst to first. And we might even decide not to share some of them because we plan on assigning it like I did Headhunters to you last week. I chose not to discuss that in my top 3 worth mentioning. Even though it would have qualified, I saved it instead for the rec portion of the film. Out of the last 2 weeks, how many movies did you end up watching?
I saw 6.
Ooh, that's pretty good. It's a good week for you.
It is.
I ended up, for me, I'm trying to keep to 200 movies for the year, or more than 200 movies. I watched 9, so that keeps me ahead of pace. I think I'm on target for like 260 or something like that. So
it's a lot of movies.
I've got some slack in case I have a bad week or something. Right. Just in case, just in
case you have responsibilities.
Yeah, something comes up, where I need to be a parent for a day or two. I'm happy to do that. I think a lot of these movies, year 6, we probably watched a lot. For top 3 worth mentioning, do you think we're going to have overlap then in that case?
I would think so, a little bit.
I'm anticipating Actually,
two. I think two.
You just think
overlap.
two? Yeah. Well, it depends what you do with one of them. I'm interested in one of them, but I actually think we might line up 100%. It would be a first if
I
our top
disagree
three.
with you, but
okay.
we'll see.
Okay. Well, we'll see. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Burnt.
It is Burnt for me too. Boom.
I was enthusiasm right there, but
I'm enthusiastic because it's already
because it's a match.
It's matching and it's disproving your theory. I'm thinking we're gonna go 3 for 3.
We'll see. I feel like I'm gonna look at your sheet after this
to
see
check
if you're
my
being
work?
legit. I know you lie to win. So, so it's a movie about cooking, chefery. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. Burnt 2015, hour 41-minute movie, 6.6 on IMDb, 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics hated this.
That's what you said.
Hated this movie. It stars Bradley Cooper and Sienna Miller about a chef, Bradley Cooper, who destroyed his career with drugs and diva behavior. It's basically like combining the rock star lifestyle that a lot of these top chefs kind of have to deal with, is fame and fortune, quick. And they're artists.
And it's competitive.
It's very competitive
environment,
too.
And people will do anything to win.
Everybody wants a Michelin stars. It's the highest rating.
So he's going for the 3rd star, right?
He was in his younger days. He was able to procure, working under a top chef. He was able to get 2 Michelin stars, and then the drugs started coming in, the women, the booze, all that stuff started kind of leading to his downfall. And then he took off, and that's kind of where the movie picks up. Is he's working as a oyster shucker in New Orleans and like some sort of...
but that was I think that was his penance.
Well, his own penance. He self-imposed penance.
I think he had to shuck like 1 million.
Well, he in his mind said, I'm going to do this before I do anything else. Like, I've got to do this. He wasn't to
restart
his own prison.
Right.
Is basically what he created for himself. And he's got a little notebook and he's counting like every oyster that he shucks. And then after 4 or 5 years of shucking oysters, he just kind of walks out of that restaurant and ready to go get his 3rd Michelin star and start his life over.
Yeah, did you like it?
Overall,
what was your stars?
I don't feel I hated it as much as critics did. I don't think I liked it as much as IMDb liked it. Burnt.
3.25.
For you?
Yeah.
3.25?
3.
I think I'm leaning more towards 3 and maybe upper 2s. Is if I was
it
trying
Netflix,
to find
right?
it at home. So it was a Netflix, but you had to send away for it. It wasn't a... Yes, Netflix send away. It wasn't for free on Netflix, so to me that's a little bit more.
It's a little less worth it, yeah.
Yeah, for free. If it was on Netflix for free, I'd be
I
like,
actually thought
solid.
that, and so that's why I would have recommended
the
it
movie
for it. But
for
if you have
me.
to pay.
I don't like. Bradley Cooper is very likable to me generally. Who also, he's been sober since 29. I don't know if he had some sobriety issues before that, but in researching this, I found out that he's been sober for 29 years, so hasn't touched a drop of alcohol.
29 years?
Or
how
not
old
29
is he?
years, so since he's been 29 years old.
Oh, okay.
I think he's in his
wow, he's
late
aging
30s,
really well.
early 40s. But yeah, he portrayed his character a lot after Gordon Ramsay, which you pick up on it, like very harsh yelling, and I'm sure kitchens are a lot like that. It's when you're trying to reach the top.
I just am not drawn to people like that, intense people where they think that their passion is more important than anybody else's, and their opinion is more important than anybody else's, and so it makes those movies for me a little bit hard to watch because I just find them irritating as characters.
Yeah, and he didn't have a lot of redemptive qualities other than being talented. And, him wasting his talent, but I didn't feel that whole, like, where, I don't want to ruin the ending or not, does he, come around in the end or does he not? Like, I don't know. But it just really failed for me. In the ending, it felt like it was a rush to the finish. It was dialogue less for like the last 10 minutes. And it was just like winks and nods as to how it wraps up. And I felt like, did they run out of money or something? It was directed by John Wells, who did The Company Men, and August Osage County, which I found both movies to be very good. So great cast and everything. It's just, it can't get more than 3 for me. It's definitely between 2.5 and 3 stars.
Which again, now that you're saying that you have to actually pay for it, it brings it down to like a 2 something.
2 Michelin stars?
2 Michelin stars.
Yeah, and we like I enjoy fine dining quite a bit, and I like the experience, and I like pushing limits and stuff like that. But even with that background, and we used to watch Top Chef and stuff like, I might have preferred to just watch an episode of Top Chef or something to this. But mediocre movie at best. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Still Alice.
Oh, that's my number 1. So you had something better than Still Alice. Technically, we're still 2 for 2 because we've made the list. They're on the right order.
Whatever you want to do.
Whatever I need to do to justify it.
Just keep
it.
Working the rules around your end game. But Still Alice, I was so it's 2014. It's Julianne Moore and Alec Baldwin are the main characters. And she is Julianne Moore, I guess, stars as a woman who's a professor, like a world-renowned linguistics professor. And she basically tests positive. You find out first 15 minutes that she tests positive for early onset Alzheimer's. I was dreading this movie.
Why?
I think.
Or do you forget?
Like, good
bad
one.
Joke?
Good. It's
Too soon?
It's a little raw. Yeah. That's really bad. And but I don't know. I think I just have such a fear of that for obvious reasons. But also, our daughter Alice is named after a friend of mine who had Alzheimer's as well. So it was one of those things that was very close to home. The only thing that made this not just completely waterworks and sobbing probably through the whole movie was the fact that it was Julianne Moore and Alec Baldwin. Like, thank God. Like, had they cast it as like Rachel McAdams or somebody that I am.
Oh, like so you're saying they're not likable? Because when you say Rachel McAdams, that's a likable person.
She's my likable person. So like somebody that I would be like, I don't want you to
You're
lose
okay if Julianne Moore gets Alzheimer's, no big deal.
I was more okay with it than Rachel McAdams. I realize how that sounds. It's pretty terrible, but that's the only I mean, I definitely teared up a few times. It's hard to watch, and from people that I had talked to about the movie, they said that it was a pretty good depiction of what that experience might be like.
Yeah, Carolyn Zelinsky wrote in and said it's a remarkably accurate portrayal of early onset dementia. And that Julianne Moore was a powerhouse. She won best actress for
Again, she was great.
Yeah.
She and Alec Baldwin were great. But I've always been bothered by him because I think he's kind of a jerk in real life. Yeah. And so it's like I can't remove that. Might have been a little
bit of a jerk in the movie too. Like,
he was a jerk a little bit in the movie too.
Yeah.
And so he was all right in the movie. But
he was,
had you cast like Rachel McAdams and like Ryan Gosling.
Well, and I think that's what the movie gets to. Is he a jerk? I don't know if he's a jerk. It's tough because there's a lot of selflessness, and this is kind of what we talked. Like, we try not to talk too much, but with this type of, we've talked about this disease before in dementia or on Alzheimer's. There's a lot of selflessness that needs to happen to care for someone.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everybody in this movie goes through. Is everybody ready to put their own lives on hold?
Right.
And you might have had dreams and ambitions and stuff like that. Now you have to.
Especially if you're in your 40s, 30s, 40s when this can happen. I think they said something.
So they were in their 50s.
Was it? Oh, were they?
Yeah.
I thought she was in her 40s. No? 50s, oh, you're right. Yeah. Well, I thought they said something about maybe when she first got it, though, because they said to be in your 30s and 40s and actually get Alzheimer's makes up like 5% of Alzheimer's cases.
Early onset is extremely rare, but what's not rare is Alzheimer's in general, which I didn't realize. Like, when you get over 80, it's like you had a 50 or over 50, I don't know, it was something dramatic, like over 50% chance that you're going to get it. Like,
that's so scary.
So
50, one of us is going to get it, and we all know who that's going to be. I mean, I'm already losing it.
You worry about yourself and your forgetfulness. I think it's partially just being me, being married to me, and me overwhelming you with like all of the things and distracting you, because you're very much like single-focused, like single-minded person. Like, you can't have distractions, plus 2 kids, plus life.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you trying to feel better.
After this, we're going to go do the test. But
other than that, we'll report back in for the next episode.
No, I thought it was a great movie.
I would recommend people to see it.
I think people need to see it, and I'm glad Julianne Moore won when she won.
What did she win?
Best Actress.
Oh,
when she won last year, she really used that stage to prop up that this is a serious disease, and everybody knows it is, but because it affects a lot more of the elderly, I don't know, it gets pushed off so much. Like, it's something we need to, as a society, need to find an answer to this and figure out ways to mitigate it more, because it's just something we can't ignore. And that's what the movie, I feel like that's kind of what the movie was going about. It's like she's got it, let's try to figure out a way to not ignore that she has this problem, but how do we move on with our lives and not feel guilty about it?
Yeah,
is kind of what it was like. And, Kristen Stewart's in this. Excuse me. Kelly Barnes saw it as well. She saw it on an airplane, which she self-admittedly says probably not the best place to watch it. She said it was good, but not great. And I kind of get.
That's where I thought. I mean, it was fine.
I thought Julianne Moore was incredible. I thought the movie was really good. I'd give it a really good status. If you're asking me on my star rating, it falls between 3.5 to 4 for me. Just on Julianne Moore's performance of a difficult thing alone. But hard to do it. Julianne Moore actually took a month off Hunger Games Part 1. So she was like in the middle of acting in a different movie, took time off. They filmed it in 23 days.
Wow.
In chronological order, which is helpful. If you remember from a couple episodes back when I was talking about Eddie Redmayne doing Stephen Hawking in The Theory of Everything, how they shot it out of order, totally not fair for Eddie Redmayne to shoot kind of as he kind of gets worse and worse. It's nice that they shot it in chronological order. A little bit of tragedy too with the director on this. Did you come across that as well too?
He passed away last year.
Yeah, passed away. He got to see her win for it, but he was too sick to. And his name is Richard Glatzer, and his partner Wash Westmoreland kind of co-directed on it because he was getting worse and worse. It was a cancer, right? I think he had.
No, he had ALS.
Oh, he had ALS. You're right. He did have ALS. That's right. So actually, the motor neuron disease that Stephen Hawking has as well. So really interesting movie. So that's why it made my number one. This has just really captivated me. So
yeah.
All right, what's your number one then?
My number one.
And then I'll go through my number two. We'll see if we have some alignment there.
I had The Intern.
Intern 3 for 3.
Again, you're turning the rules around. You said they were all going to be the same. We'll have to do
a playback and see what I said. I'm not sure if I said we'd get them all in the same order.
I'm not sure what you said either.
But we have the same 3 movies in our top 3 worth mentioning, which is pretty epic.
Yeah.
Pretty epic.
So I'll let you talk about it.
Sure. Well, The Intern released in 2015. I think I picked it up on Redbox, so I still don't think it's available for free if you have Netflix, for free if you have Amazon Prime. Pretty new movie, 2 hours, 1 minute. So lengthy movie from average movie standards these days. 7.2 on IMDb and 60% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
so
pretty solid.
Pretty solid. Written and directed by Nancy Meyers. So if you know Nancy Meyers, she's known for Private Benjamin, Baby Boom with Diane Keaton.
Love that movie.
Father of the Bride. So
Love it.
Probably right in your wheelhouse. And so we were looking. The reason why we ended up watching this is we were going to have your parents over for a movie night. Was it Friday?
Yeah.
We do Friday night movie nights. I couldn't remember
if we Friday.
Friday night, do a little pizza, a little movie, and picking movies to like satisfy a wide audience with different life experiences, especially when we talked about before, like worst movies to watch with parents potentially being.
This had a couple points that I would say were a little awkward.
There are a couple points,
Dad there.
But this was a great movie to watch with parents.
Definitely.
I would say. Yeah, I think despite the couple like brief moments where there's some innuendo. It was
more than an innuendo.
It was more than an innuendo. It was pretty much. Yeah, I don't want to ruin it, but starring Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway, both likable. Phil LaRucca said that what a great combo the two of them were.
Yeah.
And originally it was actually supposed to be Jack Nicholson and Reese Witherspoon, which I could not see as well working.
No.
But basically the movie is a 70-year-old widower, Ben Whitaker, has discovered that retirement isn't all cracked up to be. So he kind of looks and goes and tries to find
another job, something to keep him busy.
Well, he's been trying to keep busy with like golf. He got bored with golf.
Yoga.
He's been trying to do yoga. He's been doing or Tai Chi too, right? Like he's doing a little bit of everything. It's that like when you get to retirement, it's like, well, what do I do with my time?
You think you want to, so you spend your whole life thinking, what can I do so that I can retire and not have to do this and do these fun things that I want to do? And then you spend your whole life doing that, and then you realize that you can't just sit around. If you've for the last 50 years, if you've been on the go and had a purpose that's been kind of self-devised by, the work around you, it's really hard to just go from that to nothing. So
it is
to find a purpose.
And so he's looking for purpose again.
Yeah.
He comes across a flyer that says they're looking for senior citizen interns at this kind of Google-esque type company, but for fashion, owned and started by Anne Hathaway. She's the CEO. And it's kind of like, it's a good movie because it shows like old school versus new school and like how there's still some room for the old school way of doing things. And she learns a lot from him. And I mean, it's a little cliche, but hit me.
But heartwarming.
Well. Yeah, heartwarming. It was really well done and thoughtful and
I think
sweet.
Everyone would like it.
It was sweet.
Like an easy watch.
Yeah. Couple laugh out loud moments for me. It also has the if you like Workaholics, it has Adam Devine and Anders Holm in it as well. A couple pieces I won't talk about that I didn't like. It was more about the ending and how things wrapped up. I didn't like those parts, if you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to ruin it for others, but Laurel Hose also watched it, thought it was cute.
Yeah,
so, I think that's been the general
response.
response.
It's worth seeing.
It's worth seeing.
Yeah.
I'd even say it's worth the Redbox for the $1.99 or whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
$3.99. Go buy it on Google or
Amazon
or Amazon or whatever it is. Go rent it on there too. It's worth the money there too. So very nice. Well, I know we also saw a couple movies in theaters, and this is my first week breaking out theater movies separately. I saw 2 movies in theaters. The only one that I think was worth paying for, I saw Zootopia and Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Zootopia is the only one I'm glad that I paid money to see, and we saw that together with Abby. But before we went to go see it, had a lot of controversy on whether or not we should go see it, because it was like, it's PG rated.
It says for 8+. Our daughter's 4.
Yeah, well, what was it? Parentalguide.com or something like that rated it as 8 year. And this isn't the first time we've kind of had to deal with this situation. It's like, we're parents of a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and like trying to make good choices for our kids.
Well, and
it's difficult, right?
It's like a moving target, because a PG movie now is totally different from a PG movie 15 or 20 years ago. So sometimes we show her things, or G even for that matter. So we'll say, oh, this was a G movie from, 15 years ago, and you get in there and it's like, people are like smoking and drunk, and you're like, well, this is a little,
there's like some mild violence and like people hurting other people. Yeah. So it's tough too, but I just like in general it's tough, because I went to go see, what was it? So I know there are kids in Abby's class who go and see Star Wars, Force Awakens, and like I'm not my big thing. What I've come from that experience, because it was a sweet argument.
Watched,
it was a sweet argument
our
that we had.
Movies when you were like
I watched our
5.
movies growing up.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's right for everybody, but what I came away from our sweet argument, and it was a sweet argument. We ended up going
sweet argument.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's sweet. It was like anger. I was so mad.
Anger. Well, yeah, pent up rage.
Because I was like, you can't just take. You got to do your research.
We did some research, and you didn't want to go based on what you had.
I didn't want to go.
Read. Yeah, and I had guilted you, like I do most things, into going.
And how did you feel?
Who
do you feel like at the end of the day, if you knew what you knew, would you take a 4-year-old? Would you tell other people to take their 4-year-olds to that movie?
I would tell Kelly Barnes, who took her 4-year-old or 5-year-old and 3-year-old to Zootopia and enjoyed it.
They're more mature. So here's the thing that I did.
By the way, Kelly, thank you so much for writing in afterwards.
I knew you were going to just hang on that. I knew it. But so I will say that there were definitely kids that were younger than Abby, even in the theater when we were there. And then there were kids that were older. The only thing I didn't like about it, I mean, fine. These movies are they've gotten so into catering these movies to adults to make it funny for adults. And this, for me, from an adult humor, was a miss. I didn't think it was that funny. Yeah. So fine, then.
A couple moments were really funny.
A couple moments.
A few of them for me.
A few. But what I didn't like is and you're gonna think that I would think differently, but I don't like where you deliver a joke, nobody laughs, and then they just add like poop on the end. So it's like,
that's funny that doesn't fit.
Well, no, it actually. I laughed. I mean, I laughed. It does fit my criteria.
Like right
I know. I did. So I laughed at those parts. That's a bad example, but. But you know what I mean, where it was like the humor was a little flat, and so they'd just be like stinky, like to try and add a funny thing to get the kids to laugh.
You didn't have to go watch Alvin and the Chipmunks, which was just made me sick to watch that movie. Like that movie was exactly what you're describing, but
you took Abby to that too.
I did take Abby to that. But what I was trying to get to with my whole taking kids, not to take kids, and this expands to my other views on what to do as a parent, is what I've come to realize is. Whatever I decide, the guardedness that I have with our kids and what I want to keep them from and not, and what other parents are doing. I don't care what other parents are doing. I'm not going to judge other parents for taking or not taking too, because there are overprotective ones, there are underprotective ones potentially, but it's not my place. Like I'm doing what's right for our kids, and I like if someone takes it, great. I'm not going to make them feel guilty about it, and that's the piece where I'm trying to get. Not that I do it, but it's just I think that's right for me too. It's like. I'm not going to let what other parents are doing or not doing kind of affect my judgment on it. But good movie. I mean, I thought it was a good movie. Like you wouldn't paid it. Obviously,
I would have rented it probably.
It's crushing the box office right now.
Well, it's the only cartoon that's out right now.
But that doesn't matter. There's been other weeks in movie times where
I don't know.
It's breaking records left and right.
It was
fine. It got an 8.4 on IMDb. 99% on Rotten Tomatoes last I checked. 99%. It's the team that brought us Tangled and Bolt, so Disney Animation really just knocking it out of the park.
I like Tangled better.
Yeah, I like Tangled better too. Jennifer Goodwin, who's from Once Upon a Time, and do you remember her? She's the kind of whiny girl from He's Just Not That Into You.
Oh, yeah.
With Justin Long kind of counterpart there. It stars her and Jason Bateman as the Bunny and Fox respectively. And the whole movie was originally written, it's been in development for years. It was originally written with the fox being the main character. Kind of early audience test showed that Judy Hopps, the bunny rabbit, was actually getting more likes. So they kind of brought in a new director to help edit or bring in some new scenes focused on the story around her. I thought it was a cool concept. It was clever, some cute, like the messages in there there were some good messages.
Yeah.
Too.
But again, as a kid, you're not getting those messages. It's an adult that's getting those. I don't know.
The other movies I saw were Tina Fey starring in Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. I thought it was a good movie, just I probably shouldn't have paid theater money for it. It was a good one to probably catch for free on Netflix. It's a good movie about Afghanistan, war reporter in Afghanistan based on some true stories. Saw Kings of Summer. That was for free. Pass on that. Barista, we saw that together about coffee making, kind of a documentary about how the lifestyle of being a competitive barista.
It's like a good right. background if you have work to do at night on your, like, have it on in the background and kind of listen. Documentary.
Unfortunately, my biggest miss, and it was one that I think I selected, or maybe you selected it. I don't know who did. It doesn't matter, right? I'm not. I don't mind who chose it. Take Me Home. We saw that together too. About the cab driver driving all the way from New York, a fare from New York to California. Our listener Ruth Roberts Ray liked it a lot. It did not work for me at all. It was
It's already forgotten.
And just poor. I don't want to say poor acting. Not
Who's
great
the actress
acting.
In that again?
They're both a husband and wife team, and they just I don't remember the names.
Yeah, I don't even remember them either. Yeah, they weren't anyone memorable. I
didn't want to spend too much time talking about it, but I don't. It sounds like if you're Team Rob or Team Carrie, Take Me Home is probably not one that you need to seek out. But when we come back from our break, we'll be talking about our top 5 box office bombs. We went through a ton of movies really fast. Remember, you can find more details about all the movies we've watched at our website, alternateendingpod.com. That's alternateendingpod.com. When we get back, top 5 box office movie bombs. Welcome back to Alternate Ending. So we're back for box office bombs. Carrie, how do you define a box office bomb? What's your definition?
So you didn't tell me yours, so I hope I did it the same way.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
This is loose. We could be a little different.
It's fine.
It's okay.
I did movies that people talk a lot about, or actually not even just people. So for me, ones that didn't do very well at the box office, but that I really enjoyed.
Okay. I went for... So, yeah, I went through box office bombs, and Wikipedia actually has a nice sortable database featuring the top 100
that's nice that you had that.
Bombs. You didn't find that?
I didn't. No, I thought that was like
it's like when you type in box office bombs, first thing is Wikipedia site.
I was using my work computer. I didn't want to write bomb.
Oh, got it.
I thought maybe it'd be like...
Trigger some security. People show up at our house.
Yeah.
No, but it's nice because they even have adjusted for inflation, and it's sortable. So I went through the top 100, and as I went through, sadly, I've seen almost all of them. There were maybe one or two that I hadn't seen, so I've seen a lot of them. And what's interesting is not all are bad movies.
That's what I mean. So I tried to go after those ones that weren't bad, that just didn't do well.
Right. I went for guilty pleasures more.
Okay.
So
interesting.
There were some, and what I found is there is definitely a common theme with this is they're not bad movies. They just spent way too much money.
Sometimes you look at it and you think, I saw that movie. I have no idea where the money went.
Right.
I don't. Right. I mean, they're not like visually set. I would feel like the sets would typically be the most expensive thing.
Yep.
And some of them don't even have anything visually expensive. To
make the Wikipedia list of top 100, adjusted for inflation, to be in the top 100, you had to have lost $55 million or more.
Okay.
Adjusted for inflation. The bottom 5, I should say, box office bombs from 5 to 1. John Carter, 2012 release, I think, lost $126 million. Wow. Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within, which was supposed to be at the time I remember this came out, was supposed to be.
Who eats that cost?
The studio. So that's the other pattern I saw when you read through these. these movies cause many studios to just shutter their doors. Like this was the last movie.
Declare bankruptcy.
You just declare bankruptcy, walk away, and unfortunately, a lot of these happen. What was interesting too, as well, is even adjusted for inflation, a lot of the trend is a lot of these newer movies where they're throwing big money at them. It's a lot of more recent dates.
What is that one that we saw when we were in New York that has like the gold people running around, or like gold clad people? It was on all the billboards, and you're like, that's going to be a bomber. That one with
people.
Or,
Gods of Egypt.
Yeah, and you're like, you spent a lot of money on that. I'm really curious to see if that's going to make
this year alone, or Good Dinosaur is on the list.
I saw that.
Top 100, which is sad. That was a good movie.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it, but The Finest Hours. Your mom and I saw that. It's a box office bomb. It's a good movie.
It was good.
So I didn't include anything new. I didn't want to include like I included guilty pleasures that maybe people haven't heard about, maybe because enough time has passed and you've heard it's a bomb, you don't even want to check it out. But it's like it's a little bit more of a sentimental list than normally.
Some of it's marketing, I think, too. Some of them you never even hear about, and then it was really good. But it's how you actually market it. Some of them are so bad, and they market it really well, so you go and see it, and they're really not good. So they probably are overstated on how much they make. So
you were pretty cocky coming into this episode, saying that you think you could guess my whole five that are on my list.
So here's if I'm really being realistic, I bet I have. So I wrote down the 5 that I think you'll choose. I bet 3 of them.
You think you're over under on 3? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
what would
we'll
you
see
say?
How many I can get of yours? I have no idea what you're going to get.
Yeah. Well, no, you won't get any of mine.
I don't think you'll get. Let me see on my list. You'll get 1, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe 1. Okay. All right. Well, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Wizard of Oz.
That's a bomb?
Yeah.
How is it a bomb?
Well, the budget
on
was
Wikipedia.
The budget was $2.7 million, and then it only made $3 million in box office.
That's not a bomb. It made money.
Yeah, but a bomb in the sense of like what it. You know what I mean? It should.
No, I don't know what you mean, but I'll let it slide.
It should have made more.
Because it's your definition.
It's my definition.
So your definition is it should have made more for what it was.
So what it is should have made more for what it was, but also you think about how much it's made subsequently, the following that it has, that it makes all these top lists now. And to break even, essentially, at the time within the box office, it was not successful. And I'm saying now for it to become a well-known classic.
I disagree with your criteria for bomb.
This is, you just
it's okay. I'm open to I can disagree.
I mean, whatever. So that's what I had on there. I mean, I don't even need to go through the details.
People know it. Everybody knows it.
But
because
that was
it's
my
such
5.
a bomb. This
and I'm actually not.
No one knows about.
I'm actually not a fan of Wizard of Oz personally. So this meets no criteria.
I feel like we should watch Wizard of Oz and
again for
it's one of those where I think it's at the time kind of a movie. I disagree that it's a bomb, but
so you don't think breaking? So bomb is box office. So I'm saying the future success of the movie is extremely high. So that's my parameter. I guess if I'm looking at what I did for these 5, that's my parameter. Is at the time in the box office, it did not do particularly well. Either broke even or lost money. But
do you feel like in the 30s? I don't
39.
You don't think $1 million profit in the 30s was?
It wasn't $1 million. It was.
I thought you said it cost two and made 3.
Cost 2.7, so it made like $300,000. So a small amount at the time, but again, my barometer became wildly successful post that time, the box office time frame that they're looking at.
All right, now you're number 5.
Yeah.
Here's my number 5. The 13th Warrior.
You did that one?
Yeah.
That wasn't on my list.
That wasn't on your list?
But I saw that
so
on
far
a bunch of lists. I've never seen it.
Released in 1999, which, again, much like my top movies of all time, I introduced a lot of sentimentality in here. I was in theaters seeing this because, this will surprise you more than anything, I read the book.
Whoa.
I read a book. Can you believe it?
I actually can't.
So I am a big fan of Michael Crichton. Michael Crichton wrote a bunch of...
No, wait, did you read the whole book or was it like a Cliff Note scenario?
Whole book.
Wow.
I thought this was such a cool topic. Little did I know, not being well read, that Michael Crichton's book was really based on Beowulf, which no one knows who wrote Beowulf. But 1999, 13th Warrior, it lost at minimum $98 million adjusted for inflation.
So it's a little more than...
A little bit more than your $300,000.
Your criteria is
a little more than
mine.
gaining $300,000.
Right.
IMDb gives it 6.6, Rotten Tomatoes 33%. So critics not a big fan. It was directed by John McTiernan, who directed Die Hard, Hunt for Red October, Predator. 3 of my favorite action movies of all time. So again, this is why I had high hopes for it, and I haven't seen it since. My judgment could be clouded, but I think I left the theater pretty satisfied. I think it was exciting because I'd read a book and I saw it on the big screen.
Yeah.
And it was like it was just like I pictured it.
Like the feeling of success.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
Written by Michael Crichton, as I said, directed by John McTiernan, and starring Antonio Banderas and Omar Sharif, Omar Sharif is a classic actor, very high-end, highly regarded actor. He unfortunately, after this movie, retired from acting for a while because of how bad it was received. The synopsis is a man having fallen in love with the wrong woman, and this is like in the first few minutes, is sent by the Sultan himself on a diplomatic mission to a distant land as an ambassador. So this guy from the Middle East, he's a warrior in the Middle East, and he gets sent to the Northlands and pairs up with Vikings, and he's the ambassador for some Vikings, and they go on a mission to figure out who's killing these villagers, and they try to stop these villagers from getting killed and protect the other Vikings. I don't know. I think it's better than the $98 million loss that it had.
Do you think it was just too small of a market?
It was expensive set pieces. That's what I liked about it. It visually was beautiful. The acting was actually, I thought, pretty good. I don't know what it was. Yeah, I can't put my finger on it exactly what it was. I don't think the acting was terrible. It just didn't get a lot of draw. There's a whole Vikings TV show now built around that's probably very similar. If this movie was updated and released today, probably would do a little bit better. I think this is one of the ones where the loss is the huge loss that this movie suffered financially was manufactured by the director being unhinged and just going crazy and spending too much and being delayed too long and making too many mistakes along the way and bad things happening. That's a trend throughout all of the movies that I've selected. It's really the director not managing. I mean, the director is the CEO of the company.
Right.
And you get a budget to start with. And
I'm feeling less good about my three
that they're actually box office bombs?
No, of the ones that I picked that you were going to pick.
All right. Well, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Fight Club.
Okay.
Is that on yours?
No, because it's not a box office bomb to me.
Right, because we have different parameters. So, box office, it was 6 million, or it was 63 million and only made 37 million.
So, it lost 30 million. My list starts with 55 million it lost.
So, the whole idea here is, for me, it doesn't have to be the biggest losses. It's movies that didn't do well and that I enjoyed.
I picked the top 100 movies that lost the most money, which the bottom movie on that list lost 55 million. So I cannot go. I was locked in. That's my criteria for my 100 that I'm picking from. So I went through the 100.
So we had different criteria. I had Fight Club on mine.
If you asked me if it was on my list and if 30 million was my threshold, I probably would. Of course, it's my favorite movie of all time.
So it did bomb though at the box office. We've talked about it in a couple podcasts because, like Rob said, it's on his tops. But yeah, I mean, it is a good movie. It gets 8.9 on IMDb. I mean, it's always in the top lists of best movies, I think, of all time.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it had trouble being marketed as well, too. I don't think the audience...
It got a lot of negative feedback. So when I was reading about it, too, there were all these famous people that came out and said, this is a terrible movie. Mm. You shouldn't go see it. And so I think until it actually came out afterwards, and then it was out on probably VHS or whatever it was at the time back in VHS, and then people started just renting it. And then there was a huge demand for it once it actually came out. So.
I saw it in theaters. I was one of the $30 million there.
Nice.
Yeah, I contributed with my buddy Lo. We were there first. Yeah, I think I saw it twice.
I just was surprised when I actually saw how much it actually lost. From box office.
When you're trying to market something that's the other piece is marketing is sometimes hard. That'll be part of my one of my other movies. It could be a good movie and just they didn't know how to market it.
Yeah.
And you don't know how to get an audience in. And then you're pleasantly surprised if you go see something like that. If you would have went to go see Fight Club in theaters, I think you would have left very. It didn't get the word of mouth after that.
Yeah.
My number 4, another sentimental pick because I watched it a lot as a kid. Let's see, I was 9 years old. It came out in 1991. A little movie called Hudson Hawk.
Man.
Yeah. Lost $83 million. Hour 42 minutes, gets a 5.7 on IMDb, 24% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics did not like this. I think where this movie went wrong, and I look back, I should probably rewatch it. I doubt I would like it in rewatching, but I'm not going to rewatch it for that reason. I want it to be, preserved in my mind. Bruce Willis was just coming off of his success with like Die Hard 2, all that stuff. He decided to write a movie. And this is the movie he wrote. It's about a cat burglar, which, I like movies about cat burglars, is forced to steal a Da Vinci work of art to stop a world domination plot. The tone of the movie is really interesting because it's like a dark comedy. So they brought in a director named Michael Lehman who directed Heathers. Listener of the show, Dwayne Jarrell, loves the movie Heathers. So they brought this guy in who's, had just come off working on Heathers, which is a successful dark comedy. And it's silly and it's dark. It's just very silly. The tone is very silly for the subject matter. Like people are dying, people are getting shot, and it's trying to be silly with it. The way he steals paintings is right before when they're about to start the cat burglary of they do a couple different steals during
Say the name of this again.
Hudson Hawk.
Hudson Hawk.
So starring Bruce Willis and Danny Aiello, Andy McDowell, Sandra Bernhardt. They set their timing of the thefts to famous songs like Swinging on a Star.
Yeah.
And they'll sing it while they're committing the burglary. And it's kind of silly. And I don't know, at 9 years old,
sound good.
At 9 years old, it's pretty cool. Da Vinci's in there. They're trying to recreate an alchemy thing.
Never watch this movie again.
I think we're going to watch it together.
That's right.
Might be a wrec coming up for you. Oh man, I should wreck this to you.
Let's not.
I don't know. Can I recommend people go check it out? If you've seen it, I think you'll share my love of it. If you saw it at the age that I saw it. So moving on. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Is that on yours? Yeah, that. No,
because it's probably not a. I'm the face I'm making is these are not box office bombs based on.
It did not do well.
What's did not do well?
So going back to my criteria, it did not do well, about broke even relative to what they expected at the time, as well as how much it made subsequent. I'm not going to go into numbers.
It's because you don't know the numbers.
No, I do know the numbers.
What are the numbers? They made money, didn't it?
It's about broke even at about $4 million.
How is that a bomb?
It's a bomb because your goal when you're making a movie isn't to break even, and your goal is to make money.
Yes, but your goal is also not to lose $86 million.
Sure.
Which
based
is a
on
bomb.
Your criteria. Yeah. So, and again, going back to it, saying, look at what it became, being one of the classic movies.
I feel like that's a different list, maybe.
What?
Yeah, underappreciated at the box office list.
Sure, yeah. Sure. I'll just recopy this when we'll do that one next week.
That episode.
So I liked that. That movie was one of those childhood. Another one where, like what you're describing now, I'm not sure I want to watch it again, just because I feel like maybe it'll lose something. It was so magical as a kid to watch that movie.
Probably G-rated, would you say?
It's not G-rated, you think?
I think it probably is. And I bet...
That's scary.
That's what I'm saying
scene?
Is I'm going back...
Remember when they go through the tunnel and there's that worm in the eyeball? That freaked me out.
Well, that's what I'm talking about going... Like when you talk about going back, when we're talking about Zootopia, about movies that I probably wouldn't share with Abby, that is definitely on my list where...
You wouldn't share?
No, would not share Willy Wonka. Either one of the remake or...
Well, and I couldn't...
The
remake
original.
was terrible. I really didn't like the remake, but... Gene Wilder is what makes the movie so
It is.
quirky.
It's G, by the way.
It is G.
It's still super creepy. And
super creepy. And the Smugglesworth or Bigglesworth, or what's his name?
Bigglesworth?
What's his name?
I don't know.
Slugsworth.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It's been a while.
The guy that comes and whispers in all the kids' ears.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So if you
creepy.
if you do some research on Willy Wonka and the writer of Willy Wonka, it may not want you to you may not want to take your kids to see it afterwards too. But Josh, my friend of the show, Josh Elders, posted some stuff in the past about a little bit about some details about some subtext in the writing.
I don't want to know.
Yeah,
don't
it's better not
me.
to know. Probably, yeah, I would definitely ruin it for you.
But yeah, I didn't realize that Roald Dahl wrote that. I guess. I mean,
yes. So that's the writer that I'm who's since
he did the BFG.
He did the BFG, but then he went on to do a lot of adult writing as well too.
Teach
whatever.
their
But
own,
that's what they're saying is that maybe he had some subtext in some of these movies as well, and in these writings. So yeah, Google it. I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or not. Save yourself.
So that was my number 2.
All right, number
or 3. My number 3.
Yeah, number 3. My number 3 just happens to be the number 1 box office movie bomb, according to Wikipedia, of all time, and that is Cutthroat Island. And again, released in 1995, probably has a lot to do with me it being on my list, is just the sentimentality. I watched this as a kid, hadn't seen a lot of pirate movies around that time, and this is a pirate movie. It lost $138 million. It bankrupted a studio. It was an hour 42 minutes, 5.6 on IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes 38%. Directed by Rennie Harlin, who I was talking about Die Hard 2, directed Die Hard 2 and Cliffhanger. So, pretty good, solid director. The fault of this movie, and the critics agree, set pieces, beautiful, gorgeous, they spent money on lots of things. The downfall for this movie is, from what I've read and reflecting back, was Rennie Harlin was married to Gina Davis, who stars in this movie as the lead pirate lady. Co-stars Matthew Modine and Frank Langella.
Is pirate male gender? You could call her pirate lady.
Well, Piretta? Yeah, it's probably gender neutral.
Pirate name?
No, it's probably gender neutral. Oh, by the way, you're asking me about thespian would have been the gender neutral term probably for acting.
Oh yeah.
Actors. Thespian of the year.
Thespian, right?
Thespian. What did I say? Thespian? Mixing some terms there. I'm not sure what the other term was that I was referencing. Yeah, thespian. Thank you. Thanks for the correction. But anyway, Cutthroat Island, starring Gina Davis, married to the director, which he was looking for.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, poop joke, right? There you go. That's right in Carrie's wheelhouse. We're right there. This is going to be you laughing and giggling. You have the giggly fingers like you get?
Yeah, maybe.
Giggly hands?
Maybe.
So Rennie Harlin was looking for a way to catapult Gina Davis into stardom as being an action star with this movie. The problem is, as you know from A League of Their Own, which is probably, I'm surprised it didn't make your top movie.
I was just thinking,
top movie of all
League
time.
Of Their Own. It's in my top 10.
You've already stopped listening to me about Cutthroat Island.
I did. I was thinking of Gina.
As the catcher. And
so sad. Do you think she lets go of the ball on purpose?
Well, but can you picture her mispronouncing words and pirate slang and stuff like that?
So she's pretty hardy.
No, she's a good fits the build
pirate,
of a female pirate.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, can you picture her delivering lines like poor
what?
grammar,
Do a
poor
line.
grammar, argumatey? Can you picture Gina Davis as eloquent as she is?
No, because I feel like she's very polished.
So exactly what the critics, she could not.
Pull off.
Her doing unpolished was cringeworthy to people. As a kid, 95, I'm 13 years old. I just was cool. It was cool pirates, and I was focused more on the set decorations, exploding ships, treasure, buried treasure. But this sunk, pun intended, a studio in this for this Rennie Harlin and his devotion to his wife getting her. And then he directed another movie after this called The Long Kiss Goodnight, which I also like with Gina Davis. But yeah, Matthew Modine co-stars as a thief that they need. Because he's the only one who reads Latin, and the treasure map is in Latin, and it's about them, a little bit of kind of a side story there. But because of this movie, it killed pirate movies until, Johnny Depp pirate movie.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean came back and kind of re-brought it back into the zeitgeist of current times. I don't know. I like it. I still like it. I kind of want to go see it again just to see if it's as bad.
I'll go see it.
You go see it with me?
Yeah.
All right. Maybe we should watch this together. But yeah, that's my number 3. Number 1 box office bomb of all time. But for me, number 3, best box office bomb.
All right. My number 2 was Office Space, which lost quite a bit of money. Actually,
it did not lose that much money.
It kind of broke even.
So Laura Hose also had this on her.
But she and I are on the same page here.
You must be on the same page. But I went and researched it. It did not qualify because it actually did not lose that much money.
So about broke even. But same category where everybody loves this movie. Movie's amazing. Did so well post.
Well, this is my problem with where you're not drawing the line is. If you just say box office bomb, so you can make an argument. Well, making $10 million isn't enough, or making 10% of the budget isn't enough. Where is the bomb? Where is the line for when it's a bomb? And to me, I try to stick with that adjusted for inflation metric, and had lost $55 million before I even considered.
Frankly, all these movies that you're talking about that did so poorly, I've never seen any of it. So, and part of the parameter was I had to have seen the movie.
That's true.
And
that's
so
fair.
yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
So I did my homework. You didn't. That's okay.
Yeah.
I care more about our listeners. That's just how it works.
Yeah. I was playing outside as a child. So, anyway, so I put this on here because love this movie. It's pretty much our lives. So, I think anybody in corporate America can empathize
With Office Space?
With Office Space.
It was made for only $10 million. That was what I researched. Because I was researching because Laurel had mentioned it, so I just wanted to do a little bit. But yeah, so, Mike Judd.
Laurel's got it. What's
as
that?
the director.
Judge, I think.
Judge, yeah Mike Judge did Idiocracy, Beavis and Butthead. Extract
with Jason Bateman.
Mike Judge a lot. I think he's very
funny,
humorous.
good humor.
Yeah. He's doing a new TV show that I like, Silicon Valley, and his humor really strikes it home with me. Kind of the subtle sarcasm, dry.
Yeah.
And
everybody knows this
Office
movie.
Space was fantastic. Jennifer Aniston.
I know.
Right.
But she played the right character there. Like that kind of just lovable character. Yeah. So what's funny though? I've kind of blurred the movie with the TV show, because when I was actually thinking back to the movie, it's been years since I've seen it, and I was realizing
Which TV show? The Office?
The Office.
Yeah. Well, so one's called Office Space.
I know. I've blurred them though. I'm like, John Krasinski's in the movie, and it's like, oh no, it's not. It's Ron Livingston. So it's like I blurred the two because The Office became such a hit too. I think Michael Bolton was so funny. PC load letter. It's like this sold my life. Like every time I go to send a fax, every time I go to do something, do people still fax?
Well, anything you do administratively ends in
disaster.
Failure. Yeah, it's just like the worst possible things that can happen to you when you try to do the post office is closed.
I know the post office is always closed when I go.
When you go,
it's like your stamp postage changed and you owe a penny. Like it gets mailed back to me. Like it just ends up being disastrous for me. So but that was my number 2.
Yep. I don't know on what list, but it's a good number 2 for some list. Maybe not this list.
Mine and Laurel's.
A better number 2 is John Carter from 2012. Is that on your guess
None
list?
of these are on.
Oh, this is perfect.
Here's the thing. Again, I'll go back to this, but when I was thinking about what you would pick, I thought you were going to pick good movies that people might want to see.
These are movies I think people should see.
The way you're describing these movies, they sound horrific. They not sound good. Gina Davis is a pirate. You're putting that on your list. Nobody wants to see that.
Everybody wants to see Gina Davis, tall and lanky as a pirate. That's everybody's dream. John Carter, 2012. Lost $126 million. It is in the top 5 losses adjusted for inflation. 2 hours, 12 minutes. IMDb gives it a 6.6. Rotten Tomatoes, 51%. Written and directed by Andrew Stanton. If that name sounds familiar, it should. Part of Toy Story, Bug's Life, Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, Wall-E. So he's done a lot of Pixar directed a lot of Pixar-related movies and written a lot of those stories as well. This was his first attempt at live action.
Not to jump. What was Zootopia? Was that
Zootopia?
Yeah.
Not Andrew Stanton.
No,
it was
I know,
a Disney animation
it was Disney.
film. Yeah, same folks by Tangled.
I like Pixar better.
Yeah,
anyway.
And they're all under Disney now, but Pixar. Yeah. I think maybe you like the writing team and the animation better from a Pixar.
So anyway, go on.
But yeah, John Carter. It's an epic. I mean, it is an epic movie. It deals with a lot of things. This one had trouble with going over budget. Again, Andrew Stanton, first-time director. He said himself, he was just filled with power, and he didn't it was just overwhelming. He reshot the whole movie almost 2 times in its entirety. So that's very not common, very uncommon. And also they had trouble marketing it. So it's about a Civil War soldier who's taken to Mars to help rescue a civilization that lives on Mars in a different time, and he's transported there, and he has superhuman abilities because of different reasons. It's hard to market a movie like that, an epic movie like that. But when you sit down and you watch it, it's funny, it's action-packed. It's the same kind of enjoyment that you'd probably get from an Avatar. It has that same kind of appeal.
I did like Avatar.
If you like Avatar, you'll probably like John Carter. And it has the record for the longest being in kind of development hell. It was originally meant to be Disney's first release 79 years ago.
What?
Before Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
And so what was the delay?
They just decided to hold off and do some other things. But it would have been America's first animated feature. But yeah, it just finally after years and years and years, it finally came through. But it stars Taylor Kitsch, who's mostly famous from Friday Night Lights, Lynn Collins, Samantha Morton, Willem Dafoe. A lot of people lending voices. There's some CGI aliens in here. I thought it was a good movie. I didn't, this is one where it just cost too much money. If it would have cost less money, it wouldn't have lost as much, obviously. But this is probably a movie that should have cost $50 million instead of the $200 million. It cost more than Avatar. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Although what year was it again?
2012.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Because I was going to say, I wonder what's actually more expensive, like the because now that so much of it can be CGI'd, there's actually less physical scenery, or, you know, I wonder how much cheaper, you know, what's more and less expensive.
No, CGI is extremely expensive because you have whole teams working on it to try to computerize thing. It is easier to execute.
It's like you're paying more people.
Action.
Yeah. Huh,
yeah.
Interesting.
Which is why, I mean, not to get off topic a little bit, but Mad Max, a lot of what happened in Mad Max, budget aside, was physical, like real stunt work and real, not computer generated, real stunts and stuff.
So you're saying that should have been cheaper, though?
Yes, and by definition, it should have been cheaper than to have replicated that work through computer graphics. I think audiences can tell the difference.
Yeah, I think so. You sure? Yeah,
you feel it more when it's real. If there's like a real
the real dust is flying up and all that stuff as a thing dry. Yeah.
So yeah, John Carter, recommend you checking it out. It doesn't deserve to be panned quite as badly as it deserves to be in the top 5 box office bombs because the numbers speak for themselves. It lost $126 million, but it's worth seeing, I think.
Do you have any guesses on my number 1?
No, because I can't draw from my list. But your parameters are all movies that broke even or better.
Didn't do as well as they should have, and that I've seen.
I don't know.
And that did really well afterwards.
Too broad. I don't know. Can't think.
Just do one. Just one guess. Can't even get there?
No. Watcher in the Woods.
Always go back to that.
That's the only movie.
That is what it is.
Are you serious?
No.
Okay.
So I chose The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, see, this is
lost $10 million bucks. Lost $10 million bucks, man. And think about it's number 1 on IMDb, number 1 in so many people's lists.
It's pocket change.
Again, talking like favorites that are still like classics out there. These are great
based
movies,
on your parameters.
movies.
Based on your parameters, it would be my number 1 probably as well. Actually, Fight Club would be, and this would be in there. But based on your parameters of no parameters, this would be. Was
Shawshank Redemption in your
no
top movies when we first? No, wasn't.
No.
Okay.
It's IMDb's number 1 movie of all time.
I know. It's what I just said.
Oh, you did say that?
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention.
I know. So 9.3 on IMDb. We have talked about it before, but directed by Frank Darabont and
Walking Dead fame.
What do you mean?
He created Walking Dead.
No.
Yeah. Frank Darabont.
He's the director of it?
No, he created it. He's the creator.
Oh, of the comic?
Dead. No, not the comic, of the show. He brought it to light.
Huh.
Yeah. So probably gets extra credit for that for
you,
right?
He does. But it's a prison movie about life in prison for and the bond that goes on between inmates. And excellent movie. Everybody loves it that sees it. My mom hadn't seen it, and I remember seeing it with her for the first time a few years ago. She also loved it.
We were just talking about something where you kind of get used to, like, it wasn't maybe prison life, but it's where you kind of get used to being a certain way, and then when you get out, you don't know what to do.
Well, yeah.
And that it deals with that really well.
What do you do? Yeah, exactly. That whole thing. What do you do if you're still there for like 60 years?
We were just talking about something where it was a similar
topic. How do you reintegrate yourself into society when society is not the same as when you left it and that kind of thing? Right. And how do you get a job? I mean, so it does deal with that, and I thought it's an excellent.
Oh, it's a great movie. I can't argue.
Can you believe that they lost $10 million? I mean,
again, I actually can't. Yeah. It's actually surprising, and I believe like it belongs on some sort of list like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like maybe surprise lost surprises that it lost money.
Yeah.
Kind of.
What's your number 1?
I'm very excited about this number 1, mainly because it proves it's not going to be on your. Say your list now. Let's see. What 5 did you think I was going to say?
None of them. All right. So I had Citizen Kane, Fight Club, Event Horizon, Donnie Darko, and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
So had Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Donnie Darko lost enough money, it probably
they didn't do so they met my criteria again.
I'm curious how much they lost now, but. Donnie Darko, I feel bad. Like, it was right around 9/11, and all the movies around 9/11, it was just tough going in the theaters.
But you like all those movies?
I do like, Citizen Kane, I like because it's like the only movie I went through and watched in film school, one of the few that I watched in film school. But my number 1 movie, I'm interested if you've seen this, because there's a chance you've seen this.
I don't think so.
I put 2012. It's 1988, I think. 1988. The Adventures of Baron von Munchausen.
No, I've never seen that.
You've never seen this?
No.
I feel like this would have been a movie that you would have been allowed to see.
I don't think
it's a little kind of racy in there somewhere, but it lost $77 million.
Okay.
It's 2 hours and 6 minutes. Another epic. 7.2 on IMDb, 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. This director and writer, Terry Gilliam, unfortunately, he has a knack for going way over budget and biting off more than he can chew. And much like yourself with your trips to the post office, things just befall him, and things on set. He was behind budget even before the film started rolling. And then like after 10 days of shooting, he only had 15 minutes of footage because there was like a storm that came.
Like you said earlier, the studio is the one that's fronting this. So do you as the director still get paid? Or if you lose $77 million, do you...
You still get paid unless they go to bankruptcy. They haven't paid you. But usually I think you work out something on the front end where you're getting paid first. Or you don't get paid for... I mean, that's why it's these equity stakes that people are getting. Like,
where's the fault? You know, it's one of those things where it's like, how do you pay someone millions of bucks when they really
for Terry's
lost
case,
you that much money?
There's actually a documentary about Terry Gilliam called the What Happened to Don Quixote or something like that. He's been trying to get this Don Quixote movie made, and he tried with Johnny Depp, and same kind of stuff that happened with all of his movies, it seems like, where he just starts going over budget. And anyway, this is the Adventures of Baron von Munchausen. I think it's kind of like a kid's fantasy movie, but maybe a little bit more adult oriented. But kids might like it, like older kids might get a kick out of it. It's the account of Baron von Munchausen's supposed travels and fantastical experiences with his band of misfits. And he's a character a lot like Don Quixote, where like he travels on a ship that floats, but you don't know if this stuff is actually happening. And this little girl's along for the ride, this 9-year-old girl, first-time actress at the time, Sarah Polley, who was in, if you remember the name, she was in Splice.
I remember.
We all remember Splice. But yeah, it's a cute story about like an older man who's seen a lot and witnessed a lot, and he has these fantastical tales that nobody believes. Everybody thinks he's full of it, and he starts recounting them for this little girl who also kind of is like, but then they need to go and like find these people that he encountered, like the fastest man in the world, you know, like the man in the moon. He talks about like, oh, I used to be friends with the man in the moon. Oh, whatever. Like there was no man in the moon. And then, you know, they go meet the man in the moon and stuff like that. And it's cute. I really liked it a lot.
Would Abby like it? Or is it
no,
for her?
It would creep her out.
Oh, okay.
It creeps me out thinking about some of the scenes. There's some scenes that are a little creepy.
Okay.
Robin Williams actually is in one of the scenes where he plays the man in the moon. Uma Thurman's first acting job. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to watch it with you. I think you would enjoy. I think you would think it's sweet, but you would be like, yeah, it's sweet, but not made for kids.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my number one of all time. Some listener
Excellent.
top. Oh, go ahead.
I said excellent.
Yeah. Listener top 5 box office bombs, John Kazitsky, who also he just started a podcast, Rock and Roll Refugees. He was my guitar teacher. So check out Rock and Roll Refugees podcast. He had Waterworld as his biggest box office bomb.
I just have never, I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never seen it all the way through.
He called it this, and I've heard other people, I think of it the same way. It's like Mad Max on water. I may have had this on my list, but going back and looking at it, it didn't lose as much as I had expected. Mike Garrigan had The Green Lantern, Tomorrowland, and The Chronicles of Riddick. Mike Garrigan, whose music we've been also listening to. Great picks, all good movies that I actually like.
Did you ever see Tomorrowland?
I have not. I'm interested in seeing Tomorrowland, but all 3 were actually on IMDb's list, so Mike Garrigan's been doing his homework. Joy Vigil also did her homework as these movies. I think some of these fall on the list. Jupiter Ascending. I don't agree with that pick particularly. I saw that, and it deserves to have bombed. Not a super great movie, in my opinion. But Joy Vigil, still send my love to you. Green Lantern on your list as well. The Interview, Drop Dead Gorgeous, and Signs. She also wants
Signs didn't do. I liked Signs.
I don't think Signs did as well as it would have made. Like maybe more of your
list,
type of a list.
I mean the rest of our lists. Yeah.
Rest of the listeners' list. She also has the Star Wars prequels on there. And then I mentioned Laurel saying Office Space, but. That was a good run.
Yeah.
Should we go right into our recs, or do you want to take a little break?
Maybe I'll take a little break.
A little break. All right. We'll be back after this, going into our recs. So stay tuned. Welcome back to Alternating. We're going to be going into our rec segment, my favorite part of the show, where we discuss and assign one another movies for the following episode. So this past episode, Carrie, you assigned me Somewhere in Time, and I assigned you Headhunters. What did you think of Headhunters?
Well, I'll start off by telling the listeners that it's subtitled. which I really appreciated, because my attention span in these movies. So usually when I'm watching these, I'm sort of multitasking.
So we ended up watching this together, and you were like, "Fine, let's just watch this together." I was like, "Sweet, I get to watch Headhunters again." And I go to the Netflix, and they do screenshots of like a screenshot of maybe like a scene in the movie, and it's a guy with a gun
pointing a gun,
and you're like,
"Come
on,
damn it, Rob, no!" Like, I just can't handle.
And then and then I was like, "Oh, and by the way, it's subtitled."
And you're like, "I know." I'm like, "This is like triple whammy for me." Like subtitled, it's subtitled. It's like, again, gun in my face, and the guy that's on there, I mean, he just looks like he's like a Corky Romano character. So there's nothing redeeming like having like a Matt Damon type character in there for me or anything. So not quite the looker as the lead character. So I feel like it was like a trifecta of awfulness. No, it wasn't as bad. So Headhunters 2011, not as bad as expected that it would be. Is that a positive spin-off?
Is that the best rating you've given one of the movies I've wrecked you so far?
Probably. I'm trying to think if it's my favorite of the ones that you've wrecked me. I was thinking back to all of them. What was the one again that I talked about with the baby, the surrogate baby thing?
Baby surrogate.
With the rich people that have the surrogate. The other sister is carrying the baby for those rich people.
Oh, sure. Way of the Gun.
Sorry. Way of the Gun. Yeah.
Sorry, it's funny. Like that plot point for that movie is
a miss. You mean like the main?
Describing that movie in that way, like it doesn't.
It's like what I remembered from it.
Yeah. What you remember from it versus the way I think of that movie. Two totally different things. But yeah,
like,
Way of the Gun.
She was pregnant?
Yeah. No. there was a surrogate.
There was a baby.
Yeah.
So I would say this might be my favorite of the ones. It is a really weird movie, though. So it's I don't even know what you classify a movie like this as. It's this really high-profile headhunter, like an actual headhunter, like a job headhunter, not like a
HR recruiter,
chop your head off headhunter.
Human resources.
Human resources. He has to go out and do criminal things in order to sustain this really lavish lifestyle that he has. And he's like this really short, small man with wavy hair. And his wife is this tall, beautiful, kind of model-esque woman. And so he feels the need to just buy her love, essentially. And so it ends up, how do you even classify this movie? I don't know if it's like I
think it's a dark, this is like,
it's like a dark comedy. True dark comedy. Yeah.
Action, thriller. Sorry, true dark comedy thriller. Eh?
Yeah.
And with a little,
but like thief, with a
little theft in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to even describe it really. And again, subtitled. So you have to know that going in, because for me, that was annoying. Like every time I would look away to look at my phone or check my email like I normally would be doing, I missed something. And I was like,
I would love to see this movie remade.
How many times did you think you rewound? Because you're like, you weren't paying attention.
Well, because I found it funny even reading it.
You're like laughing. Yeah.
There were funny things being read and funny things on screen. The dark comedy, for dark comedy, this hit me really well as from a tone perspective. I was laughing at scenes that there were scenes where he's going, there's a lot of misfortune, and I'm laughing out loud. A ton of
misfortune, and you're feeling really bad for this guy. It's like Revenant meets crime, where he's like just this series of just ongoing experiences. Can I just share the one?
Which one?
Like the poop one?
Oh, sure. Oh, no.
Don't share the poop one? No, okay.
There's poop.
There's a funny poop
See,
moment.
Again, back to poop.
I know.
You're proving my point.
That was my highlight. Was
your comedy stylings.
So
well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It was fun. I would give it, for me, it was like a 3.5.
Well, wow. So this might be one where maybe what I'm excited about with this is we're Team Carrie listeners and Team Rob listeners. If you're a husband and wife or just friends or whatever, this is one where maybe both parties might enjoy. Maybe more the Team Rob crew.
More Team Rob.
I definitely liked it better than a 3.5.
You liked it more than I liked it.
I probably liked it closer to 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3.5. That's high.
It gets a 7.6 on IMDb. And it was on Netflix.
Your sister had just said this, and I had mentioned it before too. This is the director of The Imitation Game,
which I haven't seen, but she saw.
Morton Tildum, and he's going to be directing my number 1 most anticipated movie of the year in December, called The Passengers. So I'm really excited to see what he brings, because I feel like the acting was solid. It was his direction and choices that really.
Yeah, it was good direction.
It was really
for sure.
good direction.
Yeah.
Like, he's really
It
talented.
gets absurd. It gets absurd to the point where we're like, come on. But I think it's worth seeing. It's free.
Very good. And you assigned me Somewhere in Time.
Is it also your favorite one that I've wrecked you?
I will hold my opinion. Somewhere in Time, 1980, hour 43 minutes, 7.3 in IMDb. A lot of love by the fans.
Yeah.
59% Rotten Tomatoes, not too shabby. Listener Laurel Hose couldn't wait for me to review this. She called it a classic. Constance Connie Wozniak, on the other hand, hated this movie. This is a high school friend of yours?
Like childhood.
Childhood friend. Which, by the way, the way Connie and I feel like the stars are aligned. She's like my movie soulmate. She loves Sicario.
Way of the Gun.
So
Sicario,
it's interesting if this plays out, if our similarities play out here as well too. But she said her mom made her watch it back in middle school, and she thought it was so boring. Then in high school, there's a theme song in this movie, which apparently the band teacher, it was her favorite, or his or her favorite love story, so they made her play it, and she couldn't get away from this movie.
Can you get away from this movie?
So here's I'll keep going because I'm trying to think of strategically how to talk about this. The movie is about a Chicago playwright who uses self-hypnosis. So it's modern day, meaning modern day in the time that the movie was made, in like late 70s. Chicago playwright uses self-hypnosis to find an actress, and he's kind of like obsessed with this.
Reeves, right?
Christopher Reeves, obsessed with Jane Seymour. This picture of Jane Seymour that he sees in this old hotel on Mackinac Island in Michigan. He just becomes obsessed with her. He stumbles upon her. There's just some sort of like mysticalness. I don't know. That's not a word.
Mystique.
Mystique about her picture, and in a roundabout way, he finds out that maybe he can self-hypnotize himself back in time into the early 1900s, 1912 to be exact, where she was alive and doing her thing, and at that same hotel which he is staying. And he manages to do it. He does it. It goes back in time. It's a love story. Jane Seymour, Christopher Reeves. I'm going to hold my feelings on this movie because you know what? Something happened to me in researching this movie, and I've been waiting to share it with you. Is while researching this movie, I came across just a legion of fans who love this movie. This movie did not do well in the United States. It did very poorly. And it was a huge hit in Asia. But 10 years after its release, there was a fan club that started called Insight. And it's the Society of Somewhere in Time folks. Okay? It's run by this very nice lady, Jo Addy. And she was a cast member on like a small character in the movie as well, kind of like a extra. She was an extra in the movie. And she has run this fan club since 1990. They meet every year. You joined, didn't you? They meet every year.
You joined this club. I can see your face.
I signed
You're
you
joking.
up.
Oh my gosh.
And this is your early birthday gift. So I signed you up for this fan club. And honestly, the movie. What
does this even mean?
The movie aside, the love and the people have for this movie, the fact that they meet every year, they dress up in costume, and this is a period piece because again he goes back in time to the early 1900s. He dresses up and he gets it, and it was a miss for a movie from my perspective, but I can't help but just love the passion that other people bring to it, and that's really what draws me into the movie and makes me want to appreciate it more is everybody else's love of it. So you loved it too, and I now share in your love for you for this movie.
What do you mean my birthday present?
It's your birthday present. Signed you up for the fan club. So you'll be getting some periodicals from Jo Addy. Super nice lady. We've been in touch and traded some emails and things like that. I wanted to let her know that I'd be signing you up and making sure it would work out.
I wanted an Apple Watch.
You wanted an Apple Watch? Well, you got a member of Insight now. So wait for the emails and the periodicals. If you're a team,
is this really my gift?
It's really your gift. If you're really a team Rob listener, probably not a movie for you. But if you're a Team Carrie listener, or if you're married to a Team Carrie listener, check it out with her. Read the story about the fan club. It's pretty amazing how like fandom can keep this alive. We missed it, Carrie, this last year. They meet every year on Mackinac Island at the Grand Hotel where the movie takes place. This past year, Jane Seymour came and attended, and every year they've tried to bring people back. Unfortunately, a lot of the cast and crew have since passed away. Christopher Reeves, obviously through his complications with his medical condition, but Christopher Plummer recently passed away as well too. But Jane Seymour was there this past year, and when I had asked you if you had been to Mackinac Island before.
I know, you got all weird.
I got all weird because we're going in October. We're going to do this. We're going this. We're going to dress up.
You do this to me all the time.
You love this movie.
I didn't say I didn't even give you my opinion of it.
What's your opinion of it?
I hated it.
Oh, did you really?
No, but I don't want to go. Oh my gosh. What's the refund policy look like?
Oh, the it's actually pretty cute. So the sign up fee is $19.12 because that's where the movie takes place. Oh my gosh. That year.
But
plus we're not.
So let's just back this up. We're not obligated to go to Mackinac
No,
Island.
but I really intend on going. I'd really like to go and dress up, and I want to get swept up in this. Like, that's the thing is, like, it doesn't have to be something that I like, but other people's passions really do rub off on me, and that's the part. Like, if I had not come across this, I would have given this movie maybe a scathing review. Probably not scathing, but I'm very sentimental, and their passion has rubbed off on me and makes me appreciate the movie more. And again, there are people who are part of this movie. It means something to them, and there's a legion of fans who go every year and dress up. And
I got that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna do it
really quickly. Back to my birthday present. Did you really only spend $19.12 on me
plus shipping and handling and yeah, the handling has increased year over year. It's becoming more to handle.
What is? But really, okay.
Yeah,
we'll discuss this more later.
Yeah.
I have other expectations.
So that's my review. What do you reckon me for the next episode?
Have you seen It's a Wonderful Life?
Actually, I haven't.
I know you haven't. I didn't think you had, and then I was worried that you had.
I feel like it's probably one I need to.
Let's watch it together.
You couldn't save it for me for like Christmas time or holiday time. You're making me watch it now. I'm going to be not in the spirit, not in the mood. I'll get you like a hot toddy. You can have it. And all right, little Jimmy Stewart. Is that who's in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just haven't gotten around to seeing it.
I know, and it's one that I think we should. I think it shows up on lots of lists. I think we should see it.
Not related at all, and you'll probably criticize me now that I have you about the timing of this. I am planning on wrecking you Frighteners. Have you seen Frighteners?
No.
Michael J. Fox? Peter Jackson movie?
No.
You know who Peter Jackson is?
Yeah.
Did The Hobbit?
Yeah, I got it.
And Lord of the Rings. This was his. He used to be a
Lord
horror.
of the Rings. Not familiar with that one.
He used to be a horror director.
Okay.
Horror film director. This one might be right up your alley.
I'm kind of excited, actually, the way that you're saying
every time I'm planning on upping the ante, and soon I will win you over. I
do like scary.
I had the wrong approach going into Rex. I hit you hard with movies I love that I needed to kind of build up to, and then slowly you'd start coming my way and like starting falling in love with the movies I love. Okay. I went in too hard, so I'm going to start winning you over a little slower. I think the Frighteners will be a good movie for you.
I'll see if there's a fan club that I can sign you up for.
I'd appreciate it. I would go. I would go to a haunted house.
I know you would.
So in closing, just want to thank everybody. Thank all our listeners. Mike Garrigan, again, I mentioned again, www.mikegarrigan.com, providing all the music that you guys are enjoying along with these episodes. Social media, check us out on Facebook. Be sure to like us on Facebook. On Twitter, we're going to start posting more kind of newsworthy things as well as our original content. Check us out on alternateendingpod.com. Most importantly, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and Google and leave us a review. Where we are on the charts is very dependent on your guys' reviews, so appreciate the feedback in the comments. Our next show will air Monday, March 28th, where we'll be doing our top 5 first-time directors. So looking forward to that episode. Until then, everybody, stay well and catch you next time.